where the former governor has stated that we were suffering before the pandemic, but the current government wants to use the pandemic as the reason why we're suffering is because of the pandemic. This is part 2 of what we were talking about. Tito Mboweni, the current finance minister of South Africa, has condemned the firing of Dr. Denny Kalyalya by the president Edgar Lungu. And there's other articles, so I wanted you to watch the first video and then this part, and then we can continuously comment on the matter. It's currently trending, so we need to continuously talk about it. So there's screenshots from Twitter by Tito Mboweni, the ones that Dora Solia reacted to. And he used the image of the Republican president of Zambia, Edgar Lungu. He said President Lungu should give valid reasons for firing a good bank governor, or else hell is on Lungu's way. So in Tito Mboweni's tweet, he talked about how, that governor was a good fella. Why do these Africans do these things? The president of Zambia must give us reasons why he dismissed the governor, or else hell is on his way. I will mobilize. And the tweet went viral. Many people were just wondering what was going on, because Madam Dora Solia ended up also commenting on that. And then there's another article that I would like to read about, which is from Bloomberg. Bloomberg has also done an article, and now with Bloomberg, these are international medias as well. One of the things that they highlighted was Zambia bonds kwacha slumps, after central bank governor fired. Now, it can be a decision by the president of firing the governor, but I feel it's more of a personal reason, because the president doesn't have a relationship with the governor where they can deal according to what he wants. Putting a personal friend as a governor says a lot. So this article has some economists who've commented. Now, Dr. Kalyalya is also an economist, whilst Mvunga is an accountant, an auditor by profession. Obviously, he's been in the banking sector, but when it comes to professionalism and knowing how to deal with the economy, I'd rather go for an economist, because an economy is dealt with by an economist, and an economist means somebody who can deal with the economy. We agree on that, right? Okay, so let me read that. So Zambia's currency and euro bonds plunged after President Edgar Lungu shocks. Lungu's shock dismissal of central bank governor Denny Kalyalya, that raised questions about the independence of the institution. Now, the Bank of Zambia has been independent. Even though it's a government institution, right? We always have a governor who doesn't belong to any political party. They have to be, neutral. And obviously the signature of every money that we have now in Zambia is that of the governor. So I can imagine how many notes we're going to be seeing in circulation of Mvunga. I'm sure he's already printing as we're talking right now, because he is the yeah type of person that will do what he's told to do. And Denny Kalyalya refused to print notes. I will read something here and you will understand what I mean. Okay, so according to Bloomberg, the move comes at a critical time for the economy of Africa's second biggest copper producer. And yet we are poor. Zambia is the second biggest copper producer in the world. Is it Africa? I don't think other parts of the world have copper. Africa, we have the natural resources. So, and yet we're poor, which is forecast to contract by 4.2% this year, with an annual inflation lingering near 16%. debt is soaring, and the fiscal deficit rapidly increasing as the coronavirus pandemic curbs revenue. Lungu's decision drew criticism from economists and even South African Finance Minister Tito Mboweni. Now, I wonder who advises the president. Is it Bowman? I don't even know. And for me, I have a lot of questions to ask. I mean, President Lungu is a qualified lawyer. He was not practicing at the time he was in office because he had been removed from the register because there was a 30,000 kwacha deal that went wrong, according to what is in the media. You need to get advice from people who are, well trained and have experience in that field. Now, Denny Kalyalya is part of the World Bank. He knows how the World Bank operates, meaning he can understand how the lending procedure goes, and he is the right person to trust in the job as governor. That is why everybody is questioning, why has President Lungu fired Denny Kalyalya despite being a professional person? Okay, so according to Bloomberg, Zambia's kwacha fell 0.7% by 2:25 p.m. in Lusaka to record a low 19.20 per dollar. And on Saturday itself, that's the time I also discovered that the pound was 25 kwacha. Now, I get paid in pounds by YouTube. You get paid in kwacha, so you suffer. So you gotta make the right decision as to who you will vote for in 2021. And by the way, President Hakainde, I don't know why I always say that. President Hakainde Hichilema is an economist. So he qualifies to run our country because he understands the economy. Like I said, an economist equals understanding the economy. That's in layman's terms, but that's what I believe. Now, the yield on the nation's 1 billion of euro bonds due in 2024 surged 190 basis points to 30.34%, the biggest jump since April. I'm sure the financial people understand what we're talking about. I'm just explaining to you as it is. But then Lungu on Saturday, that was another shocker. He wrote the letter on a Saturday. And yet young people are struggling. The youths have complained. He's never even issued any statement except he has 470 million kwacha youth empowerment. Without even saying, the youths, I've heard your cry, let's talk about these things, invite a few disgruntled youths. He's never done that, but he's got the time to issue a letter on a Saturday. Why Saturday? Why not on a Monday? Okay, so Lungu on Saturday named Christopher Mvonga as Kalyalya's replacement. The former Deputy Secretary to the Cabinet and Deputy Finance Minister will have to contend with the world's second worst performing currency. So the Zambian currency at the moment is now the second worst performing currency, which has lost more than a quarter of its value against the dollar this year. This is bad. Now, we expect the dollar to even reach up to 25 kwacha and the pound up to 30. Honestly, I can see this happening. Even though Mvunga is an accountant, he's an auditor, I'm not so sure he can manage a Bank of Zambia well. Now, if he will be printing monies anyhow, then we will know why our rate is going down. I hope he can manage. Anyway, so he will also need to limit the government's growing dependence on the central bank to cover funding shortfall. Now, the reason why I believe Mr. Denny Kalyalya, Dr. Denny Kalyalya was fired was because he obviously advised the government that they cannot borrow anymore because there's no money. He cannot print any more notes because there is no money. If they do that, it will affect, inflation rates, all the, economic side of things of stock exchange. And at the end of the day, our currency will be will not be doing well and prices of things will hike, especially during this pandemic. But because the president wants to have that easy going, I believe, from what the economists are saying, that's why he's fired Denny Kalyalya. Because then he's close to this guy, Mvunga, who easily do what the president says because they need money. Okay, so it's quite, these are economists who are commenting. It is quite surprising because Dr. Kalyalya has performed sterlingly under very extreme circumstances. Trevor Simumba, an economist, so Trevor Simumba is an economist based in Lusaka, the capital said by phone. So this was by phone, yeah, Lusaka capital. To fire him in this manner sends a very negative signal. I am shocked. Spend thrift government. So our government is a spender. They spend a lot. Spend all the money. That's our government. So our government spends a lot. They are spenders. So there's even a heading here saying spend thrift. So Lungu didn't give a reason for removing Kalyalya, who repeatedly urged the government to cut the physical deficit and ballooning debt and falling foreign exchange reserves. His dismissal could raise concerns among investors who saw him as a credible governor trying to keep a spendthrift government in check. Now, as an investor, with the pandemic, I would reserve my investments a little bit. I would hold back because I'm not sure about Mvunga. And I know many foreign investors are quite affected, because they don't know if this guy can deliver and why has the governor been fired during this difficult time of the pandemic. And then we have no reasons. So this can raise and will raise concerns with investors. And investors might want to pull away from Zambia for a while until we have a competent governor and we are sure of Mvunga. So Isaac Chipampe, Lungu's spokesman, didn't respond directly to the decision, saying let's allow people to debate, and reiterating that Mvunga's appointment is subject to Parliament's ratification. Kalyalya didn't respond to a text message seeking comment. Obviously, it came as a shock. He was fired at the same time as we all saw the firing. So we were fired together, sir. And I know how it feels to be fired when you have not been told, pre. Meanwhile, our new governor is celebrating. How can you be celebrating an appointment where your friend is fired for not even doing anything wrong, except him doing the right thing by advising the government about their borrowing? This government, all they know is borrow, borrow, borrow. PF. Patriotic Front. Pathetic failures. Okay, so the move might be a response to government's failure. I just say that. Failure. They really failed. Failure to push through a constitutional amendment that would remove the responsibility of printing currency from the Bank of Zambia, according to Grieve Chelwa, an economics lecturer at the University of Cape Town's Graduate School of Business. Now, the backdrop to this is Bill 10. He said by phone Sunday, referring to the proposed constitutional amendment, there has been a struggle for control over central bank. Now, Bill 10 is dead, and we're not going to allow it because if Bill 10 comes in, the people of Zambia will suffer. Now, I am an aspiring candidate going through the different constituencies, yes, as well as branches and wards of my constituency. I've been to other constituencies and I've seen the suffering, not just in my constituency. People are suffering in Zambia. And it's not even something that you would even look at and say, is this normal? Is this real? So I've decided myself to even empower branches within our party that need support. So I'm giving them about 100 eggs, trays of eggs, and then they can use that at least to sustain themselves by selling and making a little bit of profit. So if you want to support me on that as well, I would really love that. You can simply send me a message on this line. Okay, so inflation fears. The government had been increasingly relying on the Bank of Zambia for financing, even before the pandemic struck. So you see, I've shared a video on my YouTube channel where the former governor has stated that we were suffering before the pandemic, but the current government wants to use the pandemic as the reason why we're suffering is because of the pandemic. And somebody like Mvunga would obviously issue such false statements that, the reason why we're struggling is because of the pandemic, and yet it's not even because of the pandemic. Zambia was already struggling because the government was borrowing. And even when they borrow, we don't even know where they take the money, because there's no water in most areas. There's a power shortage. The drainage systems are pathetic. Some areas, people use toilets, outside toilets, because there's no, proper water system. Some areas, they don't even have schools. Some areas don't even have clinics. Now, if you've been borrowing so much, where do you take the money? That's why we need a visionary leader like Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, who knows about the economy of our country and how it can be maintained. I mean, the man is a millionaire, the richest man in Africa. I've blessed him. The richest man in Zambia. We all know that. Dangote is the richest man in Africa. Okay, so the government has been relying on Bank of Zambia for financing. Even before the pandemic, central bank holdings of government bonds increased to nearly 20 billion kwacha, which is $1 billion in July, from 2 billion kwacha to the start of the year. There are fears that Kalyalya's removal could push Zambia forward the soaring inflation seen in Zimbabwe in the 2000s, according to Chelwa. Now, we might as well think about changing the currency to dollar. From what I'm seeing and reading, it's highly likely that we will struggle as a country. We will struggle because the people who are in charge of our country don't care about other people. So they will be stealing and stealing and stealing the money. And when they steal the money, what they won't realize is that they are pushing the economy of Zambia down. Now, if you feel the pain, there's a branch I met in Motendere, they call themselves Njala, meaning they're feeling the pain. If you feel the pain, Njala, they're feeling hunger, then you should act wisely by voting for the right candidate. Sensitize people. Tell them about these things. Those who can't read, these things, tell them that this is what our government is doing. Firing people who are of credible, work ethic. Okay, let's go. Another thing was that you need to remember the decisive role Gideon Gono played in ruining monetary policy, he said of Zimbabwe's central bank governor when hyperinflation began. You see, it happened in Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe, we are neighbors. What affects Zimbabwe somehow, it's like, we are from the same mother and father. We experience the same. So I believe this thing could happen in Zambia as well, where we might be using a different currency in order to stabilize the economy. Especially if they are going to print a lot of money. We are in trouble. We are in trouble. Mvunga is that kind of an appointee. He is too close to presidency. I agree. We don't need somebody who is very close to the president printing money or being governor. I mean, I know he's in a hurry to even put his signature on this money. I'm sure very soon I'll show you a currency of Mvunga's signature, or maybe it will be circulating among themselves. Who knows? So Mvunga declined to comment in a text to the suggestions from the economists that he isn't qualified for the position or has too close a relationship with Lungu to be independent. You see, and that's the thing. You can't be running the Central Bank of Zambia and be close to the president. It doesn't work like that. So this man, his relationship with President Lungu and the intention of him being appointed as governor is questionable. Why has this man been appointed as governor? And why, just a few months before the elections, why is President Edgar Lungu so desperate? What is the desperation about? He knows he will not succeed in 2021. So he's trying by all means to, cut off people that he feels may jeopardize his, whatever he's planning during next year's elections, him and his team. The party of PF. I don't know who advises the president. Okay, so Mvunga declined to comment, obviously. Kalyalya previously served as deputy governor and spent years at the World Bank. Now, look, this is somebody who was a governor, deputy governor of World Bank. The ones who advise us on how to lend and borrow and how to manage our finances as countries in the world. And then you fire him over an auditor because he is a cadre and he is your friend. Mvunga is an accountant who has worked for lenders including Standard Chartered PLC and Standard Bank Group Limited. He doesn't have the necessary experience in central banking, said Sumumba. Now, are we going to seek another term with this government? It will be your fault. Please vote wisely. So Christopher Mvunga is not capable of being central bank governor, Sumumba said. Let's be very clear about that. I agree. The man does not qualify. Let me just read a few qualifications of president of UPND, which is my president of my political party, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Now that's him there. And he's got a BA in economics and business administration at the University of Zambia. He's got an MBA in finance and business strategy from the University of Birmingham, United Kingdom. He's a trained business negotiator, qualified change management practitioner, a member of institute directors. Now, this is the type of person we need to choose as a leader, not somebody who has failed to run their own law firm. They have failed to run a lot of things, and then you say, if you don't choose me, like what he said, if you don't choose me, you will regret. Excuse me. We have a right to choose the right candidate. And at this moment, I will declare this current government is a total failure. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. It's Kalyalya Times, also known as Globe Z. Some of you want to hear that. But I'm also known as, Lilian Matambo, full names. On this YouTube channel, we discuss things as they are. We don't dilute, we digest, we talk as they are. So this evening, I'm inviting you for a live stream as we discuss the appointment of Mvunga. Many people are really concerned and have commented. It's not just Zambians who've commented on this, but we're even having foreign nationals who've concluded that this decision by the Republican president of Zambia was not wise. I agree. He wasn't wise enough. We've seen Reuters, Bloomberg, all those papers talk about these things. Denny Kalyalya is a well-experienced man that deserves a better opportunity than what President Lungu has done. He dismissed him and replaced him with a former finance minister, and President Lungu has terminated his contract with immediate effect without any reason. Is that what we want to see in 2021? Vote wisely. Thanks for watching my YouTube channel. See you next time on my YouTube channel. I love you guys.